Hello and welcome to Hot Takes, the show with hot nuggets and even hotter questions. My name is Josh and today we have Kyle Holton with us. He is our agriculture teacher here at the high school as well as our CTE coordinator. He's been teaching for just a little over 17 years and we're super pleased to have him in the studio.
Thank you, Josh.
My pleasure. Alright, so today we have our Marvel Nuggets right here. We're going to be going down this lineup right here and let's get into the questions. Alright, yeah, let's go ahead and get started then. You can go ahead and grab your nugget. So our first sauce we have here I picked up at H-E-B. It's Tabasco jalapeno. And I have no clue how hot this is. I just remember it was pretty mild. But as we get into the upper echelon of the spices, the Scoville starts to get more and more advertised. So I'm going to get a pretty good dab on there. Yeah, you gotta get symmetric there.
Let's get it.
Pretty good first nugget. Alright, I got my notes here on my phone.
Good flavor.
So starting off, you're a self-labeled Aggies fan. You graduated from A&M with both a bachelor's and a master's in agriculture. You spent a lot of time there, obviously. So then what was your favorite part of your time there?
My favorite part at A&M would be the camaraderie that you build by going to the sporting events and being a part of just the traditions that go along with the university, especially at the football games. Any student that's interested in going to A&M should attend a football game because that's what sold me, and that's what sells most everybody about going to school there. You have to buy in. If you don't buy into the university, into the system, then you'll be an odd man out in College Station.
I get you. Alright, and now we're moving on to our second sauce here, which is the O Brothers Organic Habanero Pepper Sauce. And yeah, let's get into it. Alright, so we're going to stay on that Aggie topic from last question. We heard that you're maybe a fan of Ryan Tannehill. Who is he? And why is he special to you?
So I'm a fan of Ryan Tannehill because of he was quarterback at Texas A&M. He was recruited to play quarterback at A&M, but he was such a gifted athlete. They moved him. They let him play wide receiver while we had a serviceable quarterback ahead of him on the depth chart, and then he had his opportunity and rose to the occasion his senior year. He's also been an excellent quarterback in the NFL, and one of my I always like to try to sneak him in on my fantasy football team when I'm drafting. But y'all don't steal my ideas. That's how I play the game.
All right, and then we're going to move back in time just a little bit here before we move on to our next nugget. You grew up in East Texas, close to a little cypress pond called Caddo Lake. I have a couple of roots there myself. My family likes to vacation over there a fair amount. But whenever I say Caddo Lake, what memories come to mind?
Memories for me?
Mm-hmm.
Me and my stepbrother sunk a boat on Caddo Lake at midnight one night. And, Caddo Lake is full of lily pads and cypress trees. It's more of a swamp than it is. It's more of a swamp than it is an actual play lake. It's unlike anything that we have here because it's a natural lake and not a dammed lake. But we were out running trout lines one night about midnight. We could not find the boat marker to stay on the boat row. It was obviously broke off and we hit it, and then we started pulling up to our trout lines, and one of my brothers in the boat says, "Are your feet wet?" And I said, "Yeah." So we started checking the plug was in, everything was good, and we're like, "Man, we've got a hole in the boat." So we spun the boat around, hammered down on it, but as we started going, the boat was filling up with water. Well, then we started bailing everything out. If it was not bolted down, we were chunking it out the boat to try to make it lighter. And we were not going to make it. We ran out of gas because the boat was going so slow with all the water in it. So we decided we're going to have to just
jump ship?
Well, we didn't jump ship because we didn't want to get in the water with the alligators and snakes. But we were planning on climbing a tree and staying the night in the tree. Well, we saw a light, and we're like, well, that's a boathouse. Let's go to the boathouse. And this man met us at midnight at the boathouse with a shotgun in our face. Come to find out, luckily he was grandpa of some student of kids that I went to school with, that I was in high school with. So he ended up, once we explained who we are and what happened, he let us use the phone that night to call our parents to come get us.
Well, that's good then. Definitely glad you did not get, shot. Also, I just touched my nose, and there's a little part of my skin that's like exposed, or I guess.
Yeah, that one had a lot more kick.
Spicy,
it had a lot more kick than the first one.
Definitely, we're jumping. All right, let's go ahead and indulge in our next nugget. We have the chili habanero El Yaquito. We don't have a Scoville unit on this quite yet, but I know once we get up to these two, we're going to have some more stuff to flex on this. But let's go ahead and get this down. Can really feel the habanero in there.
Yeah, it comes on strong.
Mm-hmm. It's a really good flavor.
Good flavor. I actually like this one better than the. I think these two. I think that one.
Yeah, I like this one as well. Mm-hmm. Either way, a little tailwind. But like you said, you were out there fishing with your trout lines. I know that outside of Cow Lake, you like to fish and hunt. And so, what are some other fishing or hunting stories you might have for us here?
Other hunting stories. And it's always, every time you go fishing, it's always this big. It's never the truth, right? You got to tell it like this. But a good hunting story that I have, and it was just, now I look back on it and realize how dumb it was, but I had a hunting lease out in Moran, Texas, which is a tiny town. It's a little 6-man town northeast of Abilene. And I was out there. We knew an ice storm was coming in, and I was like, you know what? Those deer are going to be moving with the ice storm. I'm going to ride this out and go sit in the stand. We had nice deer stands. I was going to sit in the stand and be fine. Everybody else left the deer lease and went home because of the ice storm. I said, man, I'm tough. I'm tough.
Yeah, you can handle a little ice, right?
I can handle a little ice. Well, I sat through that ice storm, and I did see all kinds of deer. I did not see one that I wanted. I ended up shooting a big pig that came out, like a big pig that came out to the feeder. And then everything was all good until it was time for me to get out of the deer stand, and the metal handles on the ladder had about a 1/4-inch sheet of ice on it. So trying to go down the ladder with the ice on, I go and I start the four-wheeler, but the four-wheeler was coated in ice. So when I pushed the start button, the ice made the start button stick, and I could not get the starter to
go.
No, it was still running. So the four-wheeler was cranked and running, but the starter was still spinning because I could not disengage the button. And so I tore up my four-wheeler.
Dang.
Because I tore up the starter, burned it up. I didn't fall out of the deer stand, but I was very scared trying to come out of it with all of the ice. And so I learned my lesson right then that said, you know what? I enjoy hunting. I am tough. I can sit through that ice storm. But that was a bad idea.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Then I had an hour drive home in an ice storm.
All right. Let's go ahead and move on to our number 4 sauce here. We're already halfway through. So far, pretty tame, but I know that's going to change very quickly.
We're fixing to kick it up.
Yeah, this is going to be ghost pepper and blueberry. This is going to be definitely a step up for us. I've heard that it's really good and tasty, but also a little kick. So let's go ahead and get this down as well. Yeah, that one comes on a little stronger.
A little bit stronger.
All right. Whew. So something...
We're not at death yet, but
it's knocking. It's knocking. Mm-hmm. So something that might not many people know about you, or something many people might not know about you, is that you're actually principal certified. You can be a principal, and from what I've heard, you were a vice at Boyd, right?
I was an assistant principal at Boyd High School.
And so take us through what that process looked like to getting principal certified. What did that look like?
So I got my master's degree in agricultural science in 2008. but I did not get my principal certification back then. You have to have a master's degree to get your principal certification. When because back in 2008, I was still pretty fresh in my career, and I was not thinking about administration at that time. I wanted to get my master's because I just felt like I needed more education. I wanted more education at that time. I went back in 2014. Said, all right, I want to become a principal now. I guess it was 2015. And since I already had my master's, I just had to take enough principal certification classes to become considered what TEA considers highly qualified. And so I took those classes online. I got one of those mail-in degrees, one of those college degrees through the mail. And I took enough classes through Lamar University to be eligible to sit for the principal certification test.
And how's that helped you here?
Well, I will say that my experience as an assistant principal has helped me a lot, and it gives you a different mentality on the schools, on just the high school or the district that you work in. For all those years, I was just an ag teacher, and as an ag teacher, I focused on my ag program. What is my ag program going to do? How good is my ag program going to be? When you become a leader, it's not about what this one program does. It's about how all of them do. And your decision-making process changes because you have to make decisions based on all the programs and not just on one. I felt like that was a benefit to me when I come here, and we have 12 different CTE pathways to be on. There's 12 different programs to be in. So I had some experience making decisions and being in that seat that makes decisions that affects lots of people.
And shout out to the AV pathway. It's a very good pathway. Y'all should join. Anyway, going on, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next nugget. This is going to be the bomb. This one I've had before as well. It's definitely a very fun experience. So let's go ahead and get this down there.
Yes.
Also, if you need another cup for milk, we have that right for you over there.
That one, it does. I don't like the flavor on that one.
Oh no, it tastes horrible.
I can feel the heat coming out of my nose. It's like almost like wasabi. The flavor is not very good.
Anyway,
the rest of them have tasted well.
So, something as well someone might not know. You grew up in East Texas, but you actually went to kindergarten and had a lot of early life in New York, right?
I was talking about that this morning, so that's funny this comes up.
But you later moved to Karnak, right?
Yes.
So tell me what that experience was like, moving from this big city over to Karnak.
So I was born in Mississippi, and yeah, that's hot.
Yeah, that's really hot.
That one's hot.
Oh,
I was born in Mississippi and lived in just rural Mississippi for all the way until I was 5 years old. My grandfather got an opportunity to have an early retirement if he went to New York and stayed a few years to train the new people. He worked for Southwestern Bell, later bought out by AT&T. We go to New York City. We live on Long Island. I go to Dix Hills Elementary. The same, y'all may know, Ralph Macchio from the Karate Kid rode my school bus.
Oh, no way.
Because this would have been in 1986 when he was a senior. 1985 when he was a senior in high school. He rode the same school bus as me as for us to go home. But I remember in elementary school, like the teacher calling me up to the front of the room, and the students would ask me questions and they would make fun of me. I thought I was really popular in kindergarten, but now I realize I was not popular. I was a kid from rural Mississippi living in New York City, and they thought I talked funny. They thought that I had funny mannerisms, and the fact that I said yes ma'am and no ma'am to the teacher, that it was offensive to the teacher. She wrote
Really?
Well, she called my mom and told her that she did not like being called yes ma'am, but called ma'am because it made her feel old. But I thought for us that was a sign of respect. Then we left New York, moved back to Mississippi, and then in 6th grade I moved to Texas. We lived in Karnak, but I went to school in a little town called Wasco.
That's nice. And you graduated there, right?
Yes, I did.
All right.
2000.
Now, again, moving back to New York, as my mouth is cooling down here.
Yes. I'm worried about the last one because that one.
I've heard that the last one is kind of a jump, so I might redo my dab here because
Josh, you can.
that one, the bomb,
the bomb hurts.
Yeah.
But yeah, in New York, I also heard to ask you about a certain purple jumpsuit that you wore.
It's not a jumpsuit. It was not a jumpsuit, and I still have. So, in New York, in the wintertime, all the kids wore these snowsuits. Mm-hmm. And coming from Mississippi, we didn't know what a snowsuit was. And one of the families at church said, "Oh, well, we have a snowsuit that'll fit him," and they gave this snowsuit to us for me to wear to school. I put this, it was the 80s. Like, wearing purple was not that big of a deal for boys in the 80s, Mm-hmm. I put my snowsuit on and I go to school, and this teacher says, "All right, all the boys put their snowsuits over here, and all the girls put their snowsuits over here on these hooks." I take my snowsuit and I hang it up on the hooks where all the boys did. I'm at my desk getting ready for school to start that morning, and some kid goes over there and grabs my snowsuit and says, "Teacher, some girl put their snowsuit over here with the boys." And it was mine. And I was devastated. But I was 6, and I wore a girl snowsuit to school. The next week I got a blue snowsuit, and I didn't have that issue anymore.
Good, and how fitting is it that you now work in Marble Falls, where our colors are purple and gold?
Yes.
And then the second to last question here before we move on to Hellfire Doom, which again is just an impeding storm cloud. 6.6 million Scoville on that. We'll get you out of here pretty soon.
No, we're good.
We're good then? Perfect.
I'm worried because the bomb, we're going to kick it up a notch, but I'm not scared. I'll do it.
Your spit gets very spicy. That's something that I've realized.
I'm trying not to swallow. I'm just trying to breathe out to let the heat.
In fact, can we get that trash can over here? We already have some trash over here behind the table, so just trying to tidy up. But anyway, like I said in the intro here, we're coming up on 17 years for you, right?
Yeah, just completing 17 years.
Just completing. So you have to have at least thought of retirement at one point. And I hear that on top of fishing and hunting, which we've already talked about, the Price is Right is on your horizon. Can you can you tell us the appeal of the Price is Right?
My whole life, going to see my grandparents, and they always watched The Price is Right when we were at their house, and it's always on the TV. Mm-hmm. A couple years ago, A&M played UCLA, and I was dead set that I was going because while I was in LA, I could go try to be on The Price is Right show. Mm-hmm. We ended up not making the trip, but I still would love to be on The Price is Right show one day. Just I don't know what the appeal is. It's just I want.
It's just like your comfort food, right?
Yeah, I enjoy
very unlike this. This is uncomfortable food.
I'm nervous.
I'm
getting
also
over
very
the bomb,
nervous.
but I am getting nervous about Hellfire and Doom.
Anyway, we've had enough time to calm down. Can we get a vote from behind if I'm allowed to redo this dab? This is a lot.
I'd say redo it. If it kicks it up from the bomb, he needs to redo that.
Take a bite of about half that.
You're probably right. Anyway.
Hey, wipe it off. Wipe it off.
Wipe it on the plate.
Oh, you're so right. It's already penetrated the chicken. It's all the way through.
You throw that thing away. Get another one.
I'm ninja starring that. We're gonna have to get that in a biohazard containment facility.
There's gonna be some.
I was about to say I have to make it through this and then the outro.
Dig in the trash can and get that thing out, and I'm gonna ruin that coon's night.
Someone here. I'll just dab. I'll just dab it onto that. It'll be fine.
My nose is running.
Yeah, I was about to say I've gone through my napkins just because I woke up this morning very congested. Anyway, as tradition, I'm gonna get a little bit on there. I say we dab it.
There you go. Hellfire and Doom.
Hellfire and Doom.
Around the corner through the hall. Hope we eat it all.
Ooh, that does not taste good. Now, before I lose my ability to speak, is there any advice that you have just for high school students making their way through high school, and then as you graduate to college, you're a CTE instructor. What knowledge do you have to pass down to kids?
Get involved. Get involved with something. Find your niche. Do something. And once you find that niche, like with CTE, we have all these competitive, these CTSO organizations, and these that allow for competition. We live in a competitive world, so get involved, compete in something, and learn how to compete and live in that competitive world at a young age, because it's not going away. The rest of your life, no one will ever care who was second place. When you watch the Olympics, when you watch any kind of sport, it's all about who's first, who wins, who rose to the occasion, not second place. We know that Michael Phelps, the swimmer, he won 15 gold medals. Well, he may have won more, but I know of at least 15. He had one year where he just racked them up. Who was second in those races? Do you know? Nobody does.
No clues there.
And why?
Nobody remembers second place.
Nobody remembers second place. So you have to strive and work and learn how to compete and live in this competitive world that way you can be first place, because the payoff is in first place.
Thank you. Very wise words. And we are, of course, not second place. I was about to say we made it all the way through, so thank you very much for your time. Very wise words here from you, Mr. Holton, inspiring kids from across the campus and across Texas. And so choose one of these cameras over here. Any closing thoughts you have?
The first 4 were delicious and had a good flavor and a nice enough heat. The last 2 are so stinking hot that it's miserable. It's probably going to ruin my afternoon.
All right, perfect. In that case, my name is Josh, and we had Mr. Holton. Thank you for watching. Signing off. My pleasure.
Whew.